Why didn't you try standing on these railroad ties?
Stephen Quat is trying to figure out his next move.
I'm going to hike out of here soon.
Swim might actually be a better description, though at least now the water isn't completely covering his car. His son was coming home up the narrow LA road last night when he saw a wall of mud.
So he quickly, like in Die Hard 2, where they blew the tunnel and the water's coming down the tunnel, and he's backing up at 100 miles an hour. That's what he did to back up from the mud flow and get up to the other side of the street, which is higher.
You can see the level of the water. The cup holders are full of water.
Scenes like this played out all over California. Residents and neighborhoods cleaning up again after the most recent storm dumped as much as 35 centimeters of rain in 24 hours.
I thought at 5 o'clock we had it licked. I mean, I really thought we had it licked. And it just came out of nowhere everywhere. We worked hard the last week to make sure that this didn't happen. And it was just...
It flooded an RV park, washed out highways, and led to dozens of rescues, including the people inside 2 cars swallowed up by a sinkhole. For some, cleaning up is a far too familiar routine.
It was rising about 2 feet per hour, and we experienced this on New Year's Eve, so we kind of had our markers for, sort of 22 feet, but it kept on rising, and it did get quite scary.
Residents lined up on a major highway waiting for it to reopen to go home after evacuation orders were lifted for parts of Santa Barbara, including Montecito. 5 years ago, almost 24 people were killed when mudslides raced down fire-scarred hills.
I was here when the mudslide occurred in 5 years ago, and I remember how everything was closed for weeks.
One of all my friends passed.
And a temporary break in the weather won't last long. Another storm is churning in the Pacific and expected to arrive Wednesday.
And Susie, just looking at how wet the ground is behind you, obviously with each storm it gets more saturated, that gets more dangerous. What's the message from officials tonight?
Yeah, they're saying be very careful. The ground is completely saturated, really cannot take very much more water. And so they are telling people that when you're out, to be careful. They are asking people to stay home, but for people that are out, even in their own homes, up in the hills, to be cognizant of where they are and take a listen. If they hear sounds that are unusual, maybe it's roots breaking from a tree that's maybe at a wrong angle, to be cautious, to be aware. The mud can come down and move very, very quickly, and it only takes 6 inches of water to sweep someone off their feet, they say. So people need to be cautious because, of course, they do not want any more lives lost in these storms before California finally gets a break.